Welcome to Canadian Innovators, the show that celebrates innovation, entrepreneurs, and the Canadian spirit. I'm Ves Sobot, sitting in for Jocelyn Bamford. Every week, we introduce a thought leader, tell their story, unpack the challenges of doing their craft, and explore ideas for job growth and prosperity. This week, we have Mac Voisin, founder of M&M Meats and serial entrepreneur from Kitchener and Grand Bend, Ontario. He graduated from the University of Waterloo in mechanical engineering, but couldn't get a job. So he tried his hand at selling real estate, which led to building over 100 homes in the Waterloo region. And then he started M&M Meats with his brother-in-law, which turned into a resounding success. Under Mac's steady hand, the company grew over the next 30 years to more than 400 franchises and over 100 head office employees before he sold his company in 2014. Mac, thank you so much for joining us here in studio this morning.
Well, thanks for inviting me on, Ves, and I'm thrilled that you'd call me a thought leader. That's pretty cool.
Well, we share something in common. When I graduated engineering, I couldn't find a job, and I wondered what I was going to do. And I took any job just to keep busy. And I see that you took a much better job, and it led to all sorts of things that you didn't plan on as well. Tell us a little bit about the early days.
Well, when I couldn't get a job after graduating 5 long years of mechanical engineering studies, I decided I didn't know anything about real estate. So I thought, I think I'm going to learn something about mortgages and registry offices and all of that stuff. So I took the real estate course, and in my first year, I did about 2.5 times what I would have earned as a mechanical engineer. So I continued to sell houses for a couple of years, and then my brother Greg and I found this piece of land in Baden, Ontario, and decided we're going to build houses.
Okay.
Knew nothing about it, just we were contracting it all out. But anyway, sales were good, and we were selling one house after the next, and got up to about 100 houses.
My goodness, that sounds to me quite fearless. Most people wouldn't try something like that for fear of, losing their shirt. What motivated you to do that? Like, why did you know that that was the way to go?
Well, I had probably two of the most perfect parents you'd ever want to imagine.
Ah,
Dad was a real entrepreneur, leader, builder, and Mom was the heart of the family. But they always encouraged me, and they said, "You
was
can
your
do
dad a
this."
builder?
Dad was a builder
Ah,
too, yeah.
fantastic.
But they encouraged me all the time. When we stumbled, they picked us back up and said, "No, you can do this." And so we were just totally driven all the time.
Oh, isn't that fantastic? So how do you go from building 100 houses to deciding that you want to start a food chain, M&M Meats?
Well, we thought it would be easier to feed people than to put a roof over their heads. How's that? Actually, interestingly, it was my brother-in-law, Mark, who was the other M of M&M Meat Shops. He and I had this frustration at the inability to buy restaurant quality foods in the supermarket. Like, what a simple thing to recognize. I mean, yeah, you had Swanson TV dinners and what have you,
I remember those.
but there was no restaurant foods. And so we had this frustration, and it included steaks. We said, how is it the high quality restaurants can offer a great steak every time, but the supermarkets can't? So we phoned a restaurant supplier in Toronto and asked that, what seemed like a dumb question. How is it the high quality restaurants can offer a great steak every time, but the supermarkets can't? And the salesman laughed. He said, well, it's simple. He said, the high quality restaurants insist on aging their steaks 21 to 28 days. And this aging process breaks down any tougher fiber. So you're going to get a great steak every time. And so we said, well, why don't the supermarkets sell those steaks? And they said, well, it's simple. The steaks turn a dark red. And if you put two different steaks in the supermarket cooler case, one was bright red and one was dark red, consumers are programmed to bright red was good.
Makes
So
sense.
we said, holy smokes, why don't we explain this to people over a service counter, that if they take the dark red frozen steak, thaw it out, and put it on the barbecue, it's going to be a restaurant steak, like nice and lean and juicy. And so when in talking to the salesman, he said, well, why don't you sell all these other restaurant style foods at the same time. So we did. We brought in chicken Kiev, beef Wellington, veal Swiss, all of these food products.
Absolutely brilliant. Let's pick up on that thought right after the break.
You got a deal.
We'll be right back. We're back with Mac Voisin, founder of M&M Meats and serial entrepreneur from Kitchener and Grand Bend. We were talking before the break, Mac, about identifying a reason why people were not enjoying steaks from the supermarket like they were at a restaurant. Unravel that thought a little bit more.
Well, that was one of many products, but that was one of the inspirations for us to go into this business. And back then, supermarkets were getting bigger and colder. And we said, what if we could have a service counter and talk to people one-on-one the old-fashioned way? And so we brought in all these restaurant products, but the problem was they were in 10, 15-pound boxes, and the consumer doesn't want a 10 or 15-pound box of steaks or burgers, whatever. So what we did, we got these 5 different size M&M meat chop boxes, and we broke them down into smaller pack sizes, 2, 3, 5 pounds, and they were all M&M, and we put these box end labels on. M&M logo, New York steaks. M&M logo, chicken strips.
Easy to see in the freezer.
Easy to see in the freezer. So people would walk in and see these 15 glass doors with hundreds of products, all M&M, and they'd say, oh, you guys must be big. And we'd say, well, what do you think? We're reboxing at the back of the store, which we were. But people immediately thought we were big and sophisticated. We put the ingredient listings and the cooking directions in each box. And we just told people that, these were awesome restaurant products. So we sold one-on-one to tens of thousands of people.
Well, how brilliant. Our society has less time. You finish a long day at work and then you have to worry about what you're going to cook. How fantastic to go to a freezer that has the product already prepackaged, the instructions are already there, and you feel like you're eating a restaurant item.
What was going on in 1980? Women were back in the workforce in large numbers. You had microwave ovens in most households, separate deep freezes, flash freezing technology, so you could flash freeze it at the peak of perfection. So when it's thawed, it's like it was in perfect condition. All of the signs were there to suggest that people wanted to get in and out of the kitchen quick, male and female. They wanted to come home at the end of the day, have a glass of wine or whatever, beer, and put the product in the oven or put it on the barbecue, very little cleanup, and a high quality meal. So the concept was incredibly simple. We were bringing restaurant style foods to the average everyday consumer.
So how did you expand to the rest of Canada? Because you had over 400 stores
450 stores, yeah. We went down to the Canadian Franchise Association in Toronto, and we did what we like to say what the big boys did, or were doing, the McDonald's and the Tim Hortons and the Howard Johnsons. And so we followed the franchise model. We were great listeners. 2 ears, 1 mouth. Anyway, we were great listeners. And we went back and did as we were told. 1 field consultant for every 20 stores, whatever it was. So we helped our franchisees build their businesses that way.
Fantastic. So I sense then that you were very close to the ground. There was not a lot of filtering between the customer and the innovation department, which was you, I presume.
The thing I'm most proud of is that we took the time to bring the right people aboard. We talked to our franchisees over and over again before we brought them aboard, and we helped them hire the right people. We call them the product consultants. We took the time to bring the right people aboard at our head office. At one point, we had 110 employees at head office. There wasn't one of them wanted to say goodbye to.
That's incredible.
So it's all about the people. And I often had reporters say, why is M&M Meat Shop so successful? And they would think I was going to say, oh, it's the products of the store locations, of the marketing. Those are all important things, but the number one thing is the enthusiasm that the people have to work together in a team environment. It's so simple. People talk about that all the time, but they don't practice it.
Right.
We did. We practiced it in spades. We wanted people to want to come into work, and we wanted them to want to come into the store and work behind the counter. So we took this whole new philosophy to franchising. It wasn't anymore about if you had a pulse in a pocketbook, you could get a franchise, which is what a lot of franchise companies do. We said we want to bring the right people aboard.
Isn't that interesting? So your philosophy was you have to have the right people. You were of the size that you could be very selective. And I've always contended the bigger a company, the more diluted it becomes. It's just a part of human nature. But it sounds like you kept it very concentrated and tight, and you were able to pick your talent.
Yeah, you know what? I hired really smart people,
Fantastic.
and so smart that I could go on friendship tours across the country, visiting stores all the time, and
Ho-
stay tuned to the franchisees.
Hold that thought. We'll come back right after the break.
Awesome.
We're back with Mac Voisin, founder of M&M Meats, owner of the White Squirrel Golf Course and Restaurant, and ambassador of World Housing. This is a very interesting set of interests that you've taken on after M&M Meats. Tell us a little bit about the White Squirrel and what you're doing there in the golf course, and also tell us a little bit about your other interests as well.
Okay. Well, I sold M&M Meat Shops in 2014 with 450 stores. And then in 2018, my partner Marcella and I decided to buy a golf course next to her property, which is just north of Grand Bend on the way to Bayfield. And so we bought the golf course with the idea of taking a, a cottage country course and moving it up to a mid-level course. And that's what we did over the past many years. Marcella did all the design of the property, the buildings, everything.
Well,
So,
I've been there and it's absolutely gorgeous. Is it 18 holes?
18 holes,
18
yeah.
holes. The restaurant is spectacular.
Yeah.
The side building is spectacular as well. It
We
has
call that
it's
the
a
Acorn, yeah.
it's called the Acorn.
The
Is that
Acorn,
what
yeah.
it is? Yeah. And tell me a little bit of what you plan to do.
Well, our plan
develop.
is to build a village around the golf course, and it's going to be a very self-contained village. We want to, first of all, it's going to be geared to seniors, but not exclusively for seniors. But we want to bring in all kinds of amenities that will keep people there, that they don't need to get in the car all the time. This is what people want. They want a self-contained
On site, like a resort.
like a resort, and that's the goal is to bring in all different types of housing, whether it be condos or singles or townhouses, and we're going to be totally focused on making life easy for people.
So they'll be surrounding the 18-hole golf course.
Yeah, surrounding the 18-hole golf course, and you'll get around by golf carts just like they do in Florida. Why can't we do it here?
I've always wondered, why can't we do it here? Gated community?
Not gated.
Not
no,
gated?
No.
Florida, of course, is known for its gated communities, and I've always wondered why we don't have those in Canada.
We don't have the security issues here that they have down there.
Yeah, you're so right. We didn't, but it sounds like, well, certainly not in your neck of the woods, but the larger centers are starting to have those problems now. Yeah. So when do you plan on breaking ground?
Well, we'd like to break ground in about 2 years, but we're working on the planning process, and we've got all kinds of irons in the fire, talking to different developers, and we're very optimistic that we're going to be able to put this together.
And tell us a little bit about your interest in World Housing.
Well, that's a good question. There was a Filipino woman that was working for friends of ours there, and she came up to Canada 15 years ago, borrowed all the money to get here, worked 80 hours a week in the as a PSW, and anyway, her village in the Philippines was knocked down with 2 typhoons 10 days apart.
Oh boy!
So we set out to rebuild the village. That we rebuilt, well, 55 homes. We brought the water down from the mountain, from the lake and the mountain down to the village. We're putting about 80 kids through university down there. We put in 50 solar-powered streetlights. So we rebuilt the village over a period of about 4 years.
And this is a charity that you've started?
Well, what we discovered is that there's this charity out of Vancouver, well, that area, called World Housing, and they were doing this. So we decided to align themselves with World Housing, and we became ambassadors to World Housing. And so, well, we're part of the group that's building in 10 different countries around the world, and it's just the most exciting thing ever.
Extraordinary. What are some of the countries that come to mind?
Well, there's
Philippines and
Colombia,
Colombia.
there's Thailand, there's Mexico.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Yeah. So all over.
all over. Yeah,
And what do they need? What does World Housing need? Do they take donations from corporations?
they take donations. What World Housing does is they arrange for the construction in those areas.
So they
We
source
don't
locally.
send hundreds of people down to physically build
Makes
houses like
sense.
Habitat for Humanity or something. We just raise the funds, and they take nothing for management. There's a group of about 8 or 10 of us that are
Voluntary.
that fund the management,
Okay.
so that we can say, if you contribute to World Housing, every dollar goes directly to the charities that we sponsor. And
Well,
we have direct links to them. So we take the time to bring the right people aboard in each of these countries to build it.
what a fantastic initiative.
And it's Canadian,
And it's Canadian.
eh?
Hold that thought. Let's bring it back right after the break.
Okay.
We're back with Mac Voisin, founder of M&M Meats, owner of the White Squirrel Golf Course and Restaurant, and ambassador of World Housing. This is the part of the show where we ask our guest, if you're prime minister for a day, what would you do to unleash Canada's entrepreneurial spirit, to maximize Canada's birth rate? It's a tough question, I know, but I have a feeling you're going to have a couple of good answers. The floor is yours.
Starting with golf courses.
Okay,
In
let's do it.
Canada, you're allowed to write off any expense if you're like, if you take a customer to a sporting event or concert, or take them out on a yacht, take them to the restaurant, you're allowed to write off all those expenses. But in Canada, you can't write off taking someone to the golf course. And it's been a real thorn in the side of the golf industry in Canada. That's a small thing, but we believe that a lot of business is done on the golf course.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember reading a book on the Rockefellers where all business was done on the golf course.
There you go.
So it's odd to me that that would be restricted. It seems a non sequitur. It doesn't make sense. It's purely a business
Yeah, the
expense.
Canadian Golf Course Owners Association is working diligently right now to try to get that put through the government.
Well,
We think there's going to be a whole lot more business done
Well, I
if they
think,
go ahead with that.
yeah, I think that would be a brilliant suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay, that's item one. Item two, what do you have?
Well, this is in the healthcare.
Mhm.
We believe that there should be more MRIs in small communities.
Mhm.
People shouldn't have to drive 2 or 3 or 5 hours to get an MRI at 3 in the morning. It just seems so wrong. There should be a focus on that to bring more MRIs to rural communities. And I know that's a thorny topic because of healthcare, the cost of healthcare in Canada, but I think it would reduce a lot of stress for a whole lot of people living outside of the cities.
It sure would. And it's interesting that there's different tiers of hospitals all across
Yes.
Canada. And if you make the mistake of going to the wrong tier, it might be fatal, right? That's
Yeah.
the other thing. That's where more machinery, more technology, more competence spread across the country, I think would be wonderful. Canada prides itself in its healthcare system. I think if there's one place to really excel for Canada, it would be in that area. That
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Super. And what would you suggest for a third?
Well, this is
Item.
kind of a fun one, okay?
All right.
We'd like to bring back the family, meaning people get together for dinner and that, and put the cell phones away. Maybe we should have a law that, well, something that recommends that people leave their cell phone at home 1 day a week. Just don't scroll, don't do anything. Just leave that phone at home. In Europe, there's a lot of countries that restrict or frown upon cell phones in restaurants. It's
Really?
just not cool. No. So we could start that trend across Canada. It'd be so cool. Leave your phones at home.
If you can do it on the golf course, why can't you do it in a restaurant?
Good point. You must be a golfer.
No, but certainly I do enjoy golf whenever we go out. My daughter loves golf, and any chance we get, we do go out for that. But that makes a ton of sense to me. Fundamentally, it seems like society is based on the family. The stronger the family, the stronger the society.
Yeah.
And so many problems get fixed within the family when the ties are close.
Yeah.
When the ties are not close, well, that's when we run into trouble. And I think I've always believed that the government is on two sides of this issue, in that the government tends to want more dependency on the government so it can have more control over the people.
Yeah.
And I think if we can strengthen the family, it would improve everything.
When I grew up, I mean, it was automatic. You ate with the family. Of course, we didn't have cell phones back then, but
Mac, we're running out of time. I wish we could speak for an hour, but I just want to remind our audience about your World Housing Organization.
yes,
What's the website that they can go to find out more?
www.worldhousing.org.
Thank you so much. We wish you the best of luck in your new development around the White Squirrel restaurant, just in between Bayfield and Grand Bend. And we look forward to having you come back down the road to let us know how things have gone.
So come on over to the White Squirrel. Marcel and I will be there.
Fantastic. Thank you for
Thanks,
coming.
Ves.
Appreciate it. Thank you for watching Canadian Innovators. We'll see you next time.